Call the meeting to order. 2.1, we have a recommendation to approve the agenda. Be it hereby resolved that the Meaford agenda Wednesday, July 15 be approved, including any items added to the agenda by mover and seconder for that. I see Kim and Lloyd, all in favor, and that's carried.
Still passing something.
And 4.1, I need a mover and seconder for adoption of the minutes printed and circulated. And Nancy and Ross, all in favor. That's carried as well. Moving right along to 5.1, the new library facility update. In case nobody noticed, they're really pumping those tiles on the outside of the building.
Yeah.
Do you have some words for us, Kathy or Lynn?
I thought we could, I thought we could pass this one to Lynn. She worked really hard on the IRFQ there for the movers, so she might want to share some of that news with you.
Yes, we did find a mover. Company will start September the 8th for that week, the 4-day window. I'm not going to say the company name yet because they haven't signed back on the IRFQ, but they are aware. I did make a phone call to them. So that's kind of out of the way, yay. And I talked to Nick last week, I believe, and he said that the drywall is starting to go up. So he's pretty excited about that. Yeah, and that's all I know from my end. So
mute my audio. I want to.
So is that your, as well as your talk about that?
I don't know.
That's all in one? Okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Good. So 5.2 upcoming events.
Yeah, we had, you'll see in your agenda package that we do have, thank you to Kim for the suggestion and the feedback about curbside. So we're happy to change the date to just go a little bit later from 3 to 6 p.m. at least one day a week on Fridays. So curbside is still going very well. And I think we have a bit of an update for you later on as far as the stage 3 now, that's been announced by the province as well.
Yep.
So the grab and go bags continue to do well for the junior library. And then of course, we're going to do the online summer story tent in partnership with Tammy. And we've done every single year when we usually do the story tent in the park, but this time it's going online.
One thing about this online stuff is it teaches all the little kids about the world of computers and online and the accessibility that it provides.
Oh, they're already way ahead of us, Mike.
Well, I agree with that, Kim.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They're already meeting friends way back when.
Yeah. It won't become their de facto, and that they can still get out in public. Once we're able to get out in public again. My little grandkids visited here a few weeks ago, and they were happy to get out, and they were missing their friends so much. It was just almost heartbreaking to hear them talk about, I'm so bored, I miss my friends. So anyway, libraries can solve that. Anything else, Kathy, before we move on?
I don't think so. As many of you know, the net shed is open, and of course we have some passive programs going on. We haven't had quite the response from TD Summer Reading Club this year yet, but we do have some children that are already starting to read and part of the program and picked up some kits. So we're just going to increase that as we go.
Good. Thank you.
It's all right. Enjoy.
Ross, you have a question?
I do. Just if I could get the that newsletter in a form that I can post the information particularly about the hours after, the later hours on Fridays, that'd be great. I just can't seem to manipulate that in the form that I have it.
Great. So
Yeah,
Lynn and you can work on that together.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. Okay, item 6.1, the treasurer's report, and we received a separate email with pay sheets, and they looked pretty normal to me. Are there any questions about those pay sheets from folks? No, I need a mover and seconder to adopt the pay sheets, and I see Kim, and did another hand go up there? Thanks, Lloyd. And all in favor of Adopting the pay sheets, that's carried. Any items of correspondence, Kathy or Lynn?
No, we didn't receive anything this month, did we, Lynn? No.
Okay. Anybody in the public out there? I see nobody. Reports and tables mattered, 9.1. I do not have a report. I did get away for a few days holiday during that heat spell. And it was so hot, we came back a day early to get back into the air conditioning. Isn't that a shame? Anyway, CEO and staff reports.
Lynn, if you want to do that team report, they're still quite busy.
Absolutely. If I can grab my first page here on that. There we go. Voila. So hold on. I moved chairs, so it's way down here. I have to do some stretching here. There we go. Sorry about that. As you know, we're still closed to the public. Very sad about that. But so far we have a total of 43 temporary library membership card numbers issued to date. So we're excited about that. Tagging is going on in gangbusters now for the new RFID. I think Lori Pierce is, I'm calling her the tagging captain because she's almost done the whole junior section. So wow. Yeah, so she's warming my heart with that. I love it. We continued to increase our social media presence online. Social media, very busy. We promoted the library's online resources in the collection. Virtual story times had 174 views in the month of June. We provide staff book picks. I follow all our social media accounts, and there's a really good feedback with the public. People ask questions, people make comments. It's heartwarming to see that even though we're closed, we are still, on their minds, and they still are thinking of us. So far in the Canada Coast to Coast Community Walking Challenge, we've reached 3,337 kilometers so far. So that's a really good partnership with Emma over at the Meaford Cultural Services as well. And Summer TD reading has launched, as Kathy had mentioned before. And grab and go packs are going really well at curbside. So, each department, we're trying to get out there in the public and stay in the forefront of everyone's minds. New library facility, 693,143.84 at the end of June. So that's really exciting to report. And over to the stats. I won't go through all the stats, but I'm very excited about the e-library downloads. You can see in 2019, we had 1,623, and in 2020, we had almost 4,000 e-library downloads. So when I drill down into that, it's your, Overdrive's up, RB Digital's is up, your usual suspects, but really clinched it was we had 1,015 downloads from our online public access catalog. When you go to our online catalog, you'll see we have an add-on called Novelist Select. So when people check a book, they get at the bottom of the screen comes all these read-alikes, authors that are like the author that you've just looked at. All the people are using that, and they're clicking on that, and they're clicking to get similar reads from the same author. What's the next series of the book that they're reading? All sorts of stuff comes up from this Novelist Select. So yeah, so 1,015 clicks on that in the month of June. So very excited about that. That's one of our extra e-resources that we buy from Souls every year. And we're not there to really give a lot of book references. So this tool is giving those references to people. So I'm really glad to see it being used for what it's supposed to be used for. So it warms my heart.
Very good. You have frozen, Lynn, in case you hadn't noticed.
I'm frozen? Oh, jeez.
You unfroze, which is thawing, I suppose. Great. Well, yeah, that is good. And it's no surprise that e-resources are steadily increasing.
Yeah.
Let's hope that conveys into visits when the time comes. I'm sure it will.
Oh, yes, it will.
Yeah. Yeah, and you made mention of the fundraising is so close to 700 now. It's
yes.
That's very good. Should we segue into that public library fundraising committee report?
For sure.
No?
I think that might be Kim or Nancy. I'm not sure who wanted to maybe report on what's going on. We can, but I just didn't know if you wanted to.
Anything to add, ladies, for the fundraising committee report?
There's a mailing going to go out. Do you want to talk, Kim, about?
You go ahead, Nancy. I'll fill in anything that I.
And is there, I said I didn't need to attend the meeting, but I believe there is going to be a meeting.
Yeah.
In the boardroom. Is it Friday?
I think it's next Monday.
Monday, okay.
27th, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, yes, the 27th.
And then we're going to stuff envelopes for the final mailing. And that's pretty much all that I'm aware of.
Well, you've done a great job.
It's a subcommittee meeting of just the folks that were going to help, I think, with sending out that last mail out. So it'll sort of be parceling out the take-home packages, I believe, the envelopes and the letters to go out. So it's not necessarily a full meeting, I don't think, but to help with a request of possibly only 1,000 more people to donate $50 for us to meet our goal.
Make it sound so easy.
Yeah, we hope so. You put it out there, it might happen. I think it will.
Yeah. I just want to ask if Harley can hear us now.
I can.
Okay.
I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Harley. Just wanted to make sure. Otherwise, we were going to have you report in American Sign Language.
Yeah, well, no, better not. No, I'll try to.
Okay.
I think things are good now, Mike. Thanks.
Good. Thank you for that information. So 9.4, the Sauls Trustee Council Rep Report. That is you, Kim.
We haven't got anything new. They're still working on amalgamating the North and South library boards, provincial library boards. The one thing that I would add is, and I believe I saw it in the library facility report, or sorry, the library team report, there was a webinar a couple weeks ago on libraries reopening during COVID, and it was, of course, very informative. It's on Learn HQ, I believe, if you want to go have a look. But one of the things that it spoke to, and as a board that we should be looking at, is the policy work that we should be, is one thing that we could be doing right now, and also to update policies to include the working from home policies, the pandemic policies, things we didn't necessarily have in our policies or covered in our policies. So it is something for us to look at future meetings and to establish, and just they give our library staff the right directions that they need to go ahead without having maybe always to have a meeting or contact us. So.
Yeah, so often we follow the municipalities' policies on that and then adapt if we need to. And I wonder if under SMT meetings, whether you have something coming forward, Kathy.
Yes, the work from home agreement actually we just saw today. So anyone who is currently working from home, it will roll out this week. And basically the policy will just state that you have a dedicated workspace at home that's ergonomically correct, that you'll be available from the hours of 9 to 5. It details all of that, and then it wants you to detail what days you'll actually be working from home. And then the person will sign off, the work person will sign off with a supervisor that will approve it. So, and then it will be revisited in September. It's certainly not something that extends past that date. It's just for the next month or two. So that is we're very fortunate that the board's adopted the municipal HR policies. So that's part of the policy under there as well. So once that's finalized, I know we don't have a meeting next month, but we could circulate it for sure to everyone.
Yeah, I think we should keep that on the forefront, because it's been suggested that there will be a second round of this COVID and we may be forced back into some kind of work change. So if we anticipate ahead of time, especially if the the bubonic plague makes its way out of China again, we got to think about, all right, it happened once, could it happen again? And we should be ready. So let's have that ready for us for September meeting, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you'll see later on in the meeting too, you probably noticed on the agenda, there's a couple of temporary amendments that were proposed that staff came up with that idea for the DVDs. And then of course, we wanted to get talking about the meeting room policy because our next meeting will actually be in that new facility, so.
Yep, they will be important, especially in the meeting rooms where there's lots of who knows coming in, and we have to protect everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have comments on that? Everybody's got a perspective and concerns, so feel free to mention those. All right. Or just put them in an email when you think of them. Thanks, Kim. Members of council, you guys have been quite busy, and if you want to just hit a few highlights for us poor folk out in the fringes.
Am I live, Mike?
Yeah, we can hear you, Harvey.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about the confusion. Actually, I wish I could have got on earlier when we were doing the pay sheets, because I was going to make a friendly amendment to them and ask that in the future, the monthly pay sheets from Meaford Library would never exceed the amount from June 2020. Anyway, maybe it's best I didn't get even. Yeah, I'll start, and I want Ross to help me, and I'm sure he can. We did have a bit of a marathon meet on Monday. Monday went for about 5 hours, 10 minutes. And even after all that, we did not get all the business on our agenda looked after. Of course, when you're talking about an agenda with 944 pages of material, it's a bit of a challenge. But I'll just touch on a couple of things. And this is a big one. We received a report from Burnside's consultants concerning the Memorial Park master plan. Not much different than the report they put out the end of August, but I thought a lot of good recommendations in the report, but a lot of questionable recommendations that I'm sure members of the public, the advocates for municipal park, and we also have a new parks committee that of course had not seen that report. So there's a lot of material to come forward on that plan yet. The comment period is open until the end of August, and I encourage everyone who is interested to get their comments in, because this is going to be a big one. I'll just go briefly to one other ongoing issue that's been with us. And Mike, you'll remember this. It was alive and well when you were with us a couple of years ago, and that's the bridges 21, 22 out on the town line between our municipality and the township of Chatsworth. There was a recommendation to hammer the death knell in on those bridges. It was not successful. We've come up with another option to investigate. So the long-term fate of these bridges, even though this has been going on for almost 4 years now, is still with us, and maybe we can still pull this one out of the fire. So that's enough for me for now, and I'll ask Ross to jump in and help me with this.
Thanks, Charlie.
Sure. Well, one of the things that we didn't get to on Monday was back 40 glamping, which I'm sure everybody's aware of the controversy over that. There isn't a neighbor on 16 Side Road who has favored it. And that said, staff brought forth, I thought, the best report that I have seen from staff since I've been on council. rationalizing this and showing all the documentation that has been approved. I think there's a couple of last minute things that people are, now they've got a week's reprieve, they're going to try and raise questions about whether, for example, the environmental assessment, which apparently was done in a day and a half, whether that is really up to muster and so forth. But anyway, the other thing that was of interest to me was the new yard maintenance bylaw, which I thought was a pretty good idea. In general, we are moving forward to try and improve property standards in the municipality. It makes sense. But the idea that you should be responsible for cutting the boulevard owned by the municipality in front of your house or at the side of your house or all around your house seemed a little bit over the top to Tony Bell. And as he spoke, for example, about the, would the municipality be liable if you cut off your toes as you cut the municipal, grass? I thought, this really is over the top. And so Tony and I voted against this. And I just thought, since it will come back on the consent agenda next week, I'd make a little article about it and just see whether public opinion moves the other 5 members to any degree. And so far, I've had over 1,000 people check it out. And at least half of them, drill down on it, and a lot of feedback, quite negative toward the idea of people being responsible for the municipal properties. So, be interesting to see if that what happens next week.
Good. Well, yes, that is interesting. Yeah. Pointing out that we should weigh in and comment if need be on that Memorial Park plan. That is going to be a big one, and if Mother Nature gets any more angry, we may not have a memorial park. So we have to be careful where we spend money. Is it max of the height of Georgian Bay, maybe? In July it usually peaks, so perhaps we ducked it. All right. Do we have a Friends of the Meaford Library report today? I don't hear anybody volunteering, so I would think not. And I don't see Frank, so I don't know that anybody has got Frank's report in his absence. So we'll move right along to new business. And then we have 10.1, the transfer of summer experience program grant. Could we get comments on that just before we go to vote?
Sure, that is actually, so this fund, the funds that we had applied for previously, I think Lee and I both spoke to you about 2 positions that we had that were pretty much fully funded. This was actually Claire, who's working with us now, has been our previous summer student. She's doing a lot of the curbside right now. So she's pulling a lot of the holds. It's probably close to 100 books a day. And then running the curbside pretty much from, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday timing that we have right now. So this funding covers her hours, and it gets directly deposited into our Bank of Montreal account. So for some of you that have been on the board for some time, the Meaford Public Library had to open up a separate bank account in the board's name under the provincial regulations for them to transfer the public library operating grant. It could not be in the municipality's name. So we do have a Bank of Montreal account. So generally what happens is when we have a provincial or federal grant get deposited in here, I think we probably did this with you in January, we just transfer the money into our accounts here with the municipality Meaford. So it's the same sort of thing. It just seems like it's 2 separate accounts. It's kind of a cash flow. So this money is in the Bank of Montreal account right now. So it's just a request for the board to approve the transfer, where we'll need to get a check signed with 2 signatures, 2 of our signing authorities, to deposit it with the municipality.
I think I did one similar, I'm trying to remember how we did that, Lynn. Was it just a DocuSign did we do, or I can't remember what I did. We did something.
That was for the plug grant, and we were in-house.
Yeah.
So we had 2 signatures, we had the actual check. So we'll have to have you sign the actual check as well.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, so the check will actually get made out to Meaford Public Library from a Meaford Public Library account. It just goes from the BMO account to the CD account.
Yeah.
I remember. I just want everybody to be aware fully that that's
Sure.
what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, and it definitely happens every year with the annual grant, the 23,000 that we get from the province, 23,985, and then it also happens with any kind of tech grants that they give, or we'll probably do the same with the Canada Summer Jobs Grant. They've gone from checks, obviously, now to pre-authorized debit. So.
Yep. Good. Okay. Well, I'll be happy to go in and sign that. So I need a mover and seconder that we approve the transfer of that money from Bank of Montreal to our municipal revenue account for monies that include the following grant: $3,658 for the program called Summer Experience Program 2020. And I'm looking for a mover and a seconder, and I see Lloyd and I see Harley. Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. We will get that done right away. 10.2, the meeting room policy. We were just talking about that, how that will be affected by the COVID-19, and if you've had a chance to read it. So whoever put that on the agenda should probably have something to talk about there.
Yeah, this was something that Lynn and I chatted about. We thought that maybe because there wasn't a meeting next month, and we're all very excited to be in the new building by the next time you'll have a meeting. We are actually going to have some meeting space in this new library that will be accessible. So I'll draw your attention to number 6 in the policy if you have that in front of you. I think the majority of the policy is something that the board would, you know, the wording, we'd maintain that wording, but it is up for renewal really because it's June 2017. So we're right around the time where we can renew that. But number 6 is the fees. So I know we work with Lloyd and Frank on the governance committee really to look at that, but we wanted to put it in front of the board to just have you thinking about it. We've always done this boardroom up here by donation only because it was not accessible and upstairs. But now in this new library, we'll have not only our meetings, like the board, I guess we want to call it a meeting room because it's not just a boardroom, the large one at the front, and then we'll also have the 2 smaller meeting rooms and the business meeting room. So we'll potentially have 4 areas to generate revenue. And we just kind of wanted to put this in front of you to say, maybe it's something that we need to start thinking about. I think COVID has really, we probably would have had this ahead of you, like in front of you before today's date if we wouldn't have been COVID. But now that we are able to have technically 50 people in the building, inside, socially distance appropriately, once we get in that new build, we want to be able to get back to renting those rooms out, and you know, if we can. So
Anybody have thoughts on the fee for renting the rooms?
I guess my first thought is we do have the 2 categories, the registered nonprofit groups and others. Being associated with nonprofit groups, I'd prefer to see that stay at free. I think that's a very it's a very nice thing to do. It's a nice position to be in, to allow at least nonprofit organizations to make use of the public library, maybe or even at by donation for them. I think other folks that are coming from nonprofit or agencies or whatever, to be honest, I don't have a fee amount that I would want to throw out there, but I'm not adverse to actually asking for a fee other than donation. That's just my approach.
Yep. Kathy, the Meaford Hall will make available space. And do they have a fee structure for the rooms in the hall?
Oh, yeah.
yes, they do. And that's sorry, Councillor Kentner, through the chair. I just wanted to make sure, like what Lynn and I were really looking for was for board direction on whether you'd like us to maybe look at the other facilities in the municipality and bring back maybe what they're charging. If this is under the board's purview of what you'd like to, what revenue you'd like to generate in these meeting rooms, it can be oftentimes with a lot of our folks, and I'm sure Meaford Hall might be the same, but you know, for example, one of our main clients is the YMCA Employment Services. you know, we're hoping that we can get the Small Business Enterprise Center from Owen Sound now that will be accessible. So it's just really about what that looks like going forward if we want to fall into the same room rental. And I'm sure Councillor Kentner could speak, or Councillor Greenfield maybe a bit more to that.
Do you know, are you familiar with what other local libraries charge for their meeting rooms? Owen Sound and
I haven't really looked.
That can all come out of a report, and I tend to agree with Lloyd that not-for-profits, if it was by donation, and it doesn't even have to be a cash donation, it can be a box of Timbits for all that matters for the staff or whatever. And then when we have municipal facilities and we're competing with other municipal facilities for rental space, do we undercut our own municipal facility fee structure? So we may have to have some consultation on that. And then what does that fee get, how does it get posted on the balance sheet, or is it to pay down debt, or what exactly? And we may have to have some kind of idea what where that money is going to be directed. And I don't expect it'll be an enormous amount, but a few things, and a report would be great on that, Kathy.
Sure. Okay. No, that's great. I just we wanted to make sure we put it in front of you and let you know that it's something we'll be bringing forward in September.
Very good. Okay.
I like your idea, Mike, of you know, trying to decide where that money goes. And I understand, I mean, the municipality, it is a municipal building and so forth, but wouldn't it be great to be able to have at least part of the, if there were fee generated, to have part of it go back to library programming or special programming or something like that?
Well, you know, and that's where you would talk about it at budget times, because it's not something that you would find it easy to put in, and we always had difficulty saying what are the fees going to be for late returns, and it amounted to such a very little thing that you didn't even want it in the budget, because what if we don't make that $200? You know, it's so we waived non-resident fees for books out and so on.
Yeah.
If it was a significant amount, then and something you could count on an annual basis, then I would love to see it in programming. If it's $500 at the end of the year, I would say put it on the debt, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But we can have that discussion in September.
Sure.
Any other comments now would be welcome.
So I do have a number of comments with respect to the policy itself, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Frank about it. Can we just send those to you, Kathy, or?
Sure, yeah, and we were kind of hoping, like Linda and I are hoping to meet with you and Frank about it too, but we just wanted to make sure that the board knew, like before we bring you anything in September, obviously, just so that we can have some sort of structure for the entire board to review.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll hang on to those for now then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And you also want to talk about
Exciting 5 meeting rooms.
And then Councillor Kentner.
I just had a question. I had a question, if I may, and that is, how large is the boardroom? Like, how many seating places will there be in the boardroom?
This boardroom is about the same size, isn't it, Mike, as this one we have
I was
here?
just going to ask Lynn, who I think maybe studies the building drawings before she goes to bed at night, that you might have that dimension in your head.
It's about the same size as this. I do have it on my bulletin board in my office, so I could grab it. But it's about the same size as this, but it's just so many windows. It's bigger.
Wall windows.
But,
so what's that, about 15 by 18 or something like that?
Yes, I think the configuration too with the tables, we can certainly, instead of having, because we have less furniture in that room, we will actually have, hopefully the fire come over to give us some of the room capacities once we're set up in there.
Oh yeah.
So they'll be able to tell us how many can be seated with the certain furniture that's in the room as well. So that will help.
And the furniture will be different?
Yes.
oh gosh.
We'll have a actual boardroom style table.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more functional. Yeah.
Okay.
So it can change.
They'll be stackable. They're half of the tables that we ordered will have, charging areas so that we can use it for, you know, maybe courses on computers, so you can, you know, put your laptop in. The others are plain tables. Once again, as you know, there's a kitchenette and washroom as well. So
it's not technically a boardroom, it is a meeting room, and it's a multi-purpose room.
Yeah, and if I can answer Councillor Kentner's question just a little bit better, I think prior to COVID, my guess would probably be 20 to 25 folks in there with seated with tables and chairs. But I'm not sure about how we approach the social distancing aspect of it now.
Yep.
Just in the past, you know, I've had to rent meeting rooms from time to time in different locations, and a lot hinges on, you know, the size of the group. And it's possible that you might have a really good resource here in terms of being able to accommodate a larger group in a boardroom setting. So,
yeah,
and it would be worth more.
Gotcha. Thanks, Ross. Okay. All right. I'm just scrolling back and forth through the agenda, and I think there was circulation policy next, was it, Kathy?
Yes, and
Yep.
that one, I think, Lynn, you wanted to chat that the library team that was on the curbside came up with this suggestion, and I understand it's been supported. I saw the emails, which is great. But
yeah, we're always trying to, as you know, since we close to the public, we're always pivoting and changing, and public input is extremely important to us. And it was a member of the public that, you know, she took a movie out on the Monday, and it was 3-day loan, and we didn't expect her to bring it, you know, it said bring it back by Thursday, and I mean that's not the right thing to do. So it was the staff that asked if we could extend that new movie loan period from 3 to 7 days. It just only makes sense. So we're living and learning, and thank you for supporting us on that. So we'll change the policy for now. So
With me, like it's muted. I'm not.
And I think Kathy and we're going to discuss on circulation going fine free. I think Frank was going to bring it up in his report from Owen Sound Public Library, because Owen Sound Public Library is, I think I sent it all to you, they're going to go fine free for the remainder of 2020.
Right.
So that's something that we can discuss as well if we wanted to go that route.
yeah, if the board so chooses to do some kind of an amendment to our circulation policy, or maybe just a statement that would support that as well till the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Temporary suspension of fines,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
It'd be nice to have, I guess, some estimate of what our fines are, what our loss, you know, recoveries are, and that kind of stuff in a normal year.
I think they'll have that. They'll have that information. It'll be in the audit report.
Okay.
But that we can have produced. I don't know that it was a whole lot of money, but
yeah, for example, just for the chair to look, it was last year it was $4,059 in 2019 that we raised all year.
Oh wow.
For fines.
That is a whole lot
and
of
some
money.
of that, some of that is replacement material. So if a book is, you know, certainly we wouldn't be forgiving that in this case, but for fines for sure.
It was interesting to note that when the fine was suspended, a lot of books got returned.
Yeah.
In other studies, right? So, oh, I can take it back and I don't have to be embarrassed now.
Yes.
There's got to be a point where I can maybe afford it, but after this, I'm not going to be able to afford it anymore.
I'm buying the book with my fine.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as it comes back undamaged, that's fine by me.
That's right. It's the most important part.
Yeah, people are struggling as it is, and that might just be a good something to adopt as a test for the balance of 2020, and we can talk about that in September too, I suppose. All right. Anything else on those? Okay, we'll move on to 10.4, the annual survey of public library statistics 2019 and the public library operating grant plug 2020-2021. Is that you, Kathy?
Yeah, it's Lynn and I. We just a quick update to say that we have submitted the public library operating grant and the pay equity grant. So that is the funds that we were talking about a little earlier that we generally receive around the end of December through the Bank of Montreal account, and then we transfer that over. And the annual survey of public library statistics, we've compiled all the information, and Lynn and I will be working on that, and it's to be submitted by August
15.
15, yeah.
Very
So
good.
just a quick update, yeah.
Yep, thank you. And do you have audited financial statements for 2019 for the library?
We actually got the drafts this morning from Kathy Belluini. So Darcy doesn't feel that they'll change at all, so we can circulate them to you as soon as the meeting's done today, like just so that you can see it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And you might see your Lloyd the income from those
Right.
book returns or non-returns.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want to talk about, anybody else have any comments on that before we move on? No? 10.6, stage 3 of COVID-19 reopening in the current library facility. This should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you might all find this one really. We've been working pretty hard as a team on this one. So we were excited to hear that the province was moving into stage 3, and that as of this Saturday, or Monday probably for us, that we could open the doors. As you know, under stage 2, we were allowed to have folks in the building, but they weren't able to browse the shelves. So it really didn't make a lot of sense for us to go that route. Now for stage 3, what we would like to do, what we're proposing to the board, is to open the facility as of August 4th. So we just have to get some barriers put in place, and they've all been ordered. So we were working with Jesse to kind of get them installed as soon as possible, and some of the social distancing things, we have to get a few computers removed. So we're making some moves in that area. So we feel confident that by August 4th, that this is something that we could look at doing. We were proposing like a 10 to 3 time frame, Monday to Thursday, and a 10 to 6 time frame on Friday. So there might be some limited hours. For those patrons or customers that aren't interested in coming into the facility, we'll continue to offer the curbside service. So this is if someone isn't that comfortable. We don't have a lot of capacity in the building when you look at the square meters that we can have people in here with social distancing. As you know, you probably saw the Grey Bruce announcement, I believe it was Tuesday, that said we will be mandatory masks as well in interior. So everyone that comes in the building will obviously have to wear a mask and sanitize, and we'll do some screening. It looks like in the front of the front area, we'll probably be able to have, we're kind of picturing one person in the fiction section, person in the nonfiction section, possibly 2 to 3 on the public access computers for a half-hour time frame through our Cybrarian software. And then 1 or 2 folks, in the large print and magazine areas. So the magazines, the current issue doesn't get circulated, so that's something we're going to put back into the mix so it can be circulated. We'll be removing a lot of the chairs and the tables so that there's not a lot of seating available, unfortunately, because if people are seating in the back room, then they really can't have people back there looking at the books. So we were kind of, it's not that we could even social distance the tables from the collection to have folks back there. We still would like to provide service in the children and youth area as well. So we'll be down to 1 early literacy station versus 2, just because of the wiring and the hookups. It's a little dangerous to move them further apart, but at least we'll have 1. And the same with the children's area, we'll have 1 computer there with a printer. And in the teen area, we'll be able to have 1 as well. So with the limited space that we have, I think we've done a great job as a team, really being able to, Lynn made a good comment this morning on our leadership team meeting that it's against our DNA to serve the public, I think. So we've all been having a hard time with this COVID. So we're really ready to do anything to get the doors open and people through the building. So and the last point I just wanted to make, we probably wouldn't be really looking at room bookings right now or programs unless they were off site. Like maybe we're hoping to maybe do some story times outside, even in the new parquet in August, maybe, if it's possible, if construction's finished. And then a lot of this obviously be revisited when we get to the new library as well. We were going to ask for like exact change if we did go with anyone that was paying for replacement costs or paying for printing and scanning. We've had a lot of folks ask for printing, scanning, or faxing services, so we will be able to provide that for them again. We've also had someone request a laptop for taking a food service course so that they could open their business. you know, so this is just really being able to provide some services without, but still following the regulations that the province has put in place. And the last thing would be, entrance through the main door and exit through the accessible ramp at the side. Of course, anybody that needed to come in and out through there would be fine, but we would be closing off the junior library because we really, people would be able to use the junior library, but they wouldn't be able to enter or exit through there.
Gotcha.
And I think unfortunately we can't open the washrooms yet. So that's a
Yeah, that was my next question, because you have
Yeah.
to get an extra cleaning, so that'll be. Yeah, that is really actually the municipal's responsibility to open the washrooms, I think, at Meaford Hall, and you really need to think that one very, very thoroughly. It's also a cooling center, so I think that's really important from a couple of perspectives that Meaford Hall get opened up. That's my opinion, councillors. Okay. Thanks, Kathy. That really does sound like your team's been working double time on that.
Yeah.
Quick question, Kathy.
Sure.
Will you be? It sounds like you've figured out in your minds how many people would be, you know, able to be in the certain areas. Are you going to be keeping track? Like, will there be a physical count?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to implement a few more rules than what we're used to. We have talked about, like, even as folks enter the building, if you're in the same bubble, if it's a husband and wife, or if it's a daughter and mom or something, that's okay that they come in together and are in the area together. But because we're a bit limited in space, there will be, you know, we're even sort of putting in a certain, like a return card at the front between the two circulation desks. So there's only one service access point at the circ desk for one staff member there, and a barrier will be installed. But we do have to quarantine the materials. The suggestion is for 72 hours, but we usually do it for 24 because we are disinfecting them. So we can't necessarily disinfect a magazine or a newspaper. So newspaper is one of the things that we were having a challenge. We went around the table a few times because technically with paper, you are supposed to quarantine it. And, you know, folks around, like, people that come in really enjoy the newspapers.
Yeah, yeah, it's a social thing and it's understandable.
The opening up to the public is a bit of a mixed blessing, not only for the library, but for, you know, restaurants, what have you. I really hope that the enforcement part is not too onerous, because we're going to have some people who push the envelope and make it a bit difficult, maybe not intentionally, but there are going to be challenges. And I'm sure you ladies are aware of that. I'm sure you're going to do a much better job than I can just visualize going to Montana's or Kelsey's or the Leaky, and wow, it's going to be a challenge. So hopefully everybody behaves accordingly and well. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. We were really wondering about how to do it in this facility. We weren't sure how long COVID would go on, or obviously phase 3 would be announced. And part of us was, we were hoping that maybe it wouldn't happen until the new building. So we weren't looking at doing COVID in 2 buildings. But then when we had a conversation a couple of times as a staff team, we just couldn't wait another month to be open. Like, we just couldn't wait until end of September or something, or mid-September, whenever the new building would be open. This gives us a solid 5 weeks before that new building to be able to provide service to the residents. So I know curbside has been doing okay, but we really need to bring in the tech access and other, you know, the children and stuff as well.
Yeah. I think
did you think of just doing that? Providing the tech service area and not opening up the shelves and continue to do the curbside for book material? Or
yeah, we talked about that. We were a bit worried, like Councillor Greenfield just mentioned, about the enforcement of that, because people would get, once the doors get open, we want to be able to provide as much as we can in here. We even talked about in the very beginning having like a one-on-one personal shopper. So we called it a line up and look, where like people would line up outside and a staff member would take them in to help them browse, and they could touch and pull it off the shelf for them and maybe suggest other authors. But we were just a little worried that it would, you know, the capacity, we'd really be filling up the staff plate on one-on-ones and stuff, and how quick we could get people through. So I think the curbside is something that we're still obviously going to really advertise, that people, you know, take advantage of and use, put holds on and things like that. And I think that will certainly continue. But there are a lot of our library patrons that will pop in and grab some, they know exactly what they want and then be able to leave. So, but the computers for sure, we have to get open for the public.
Yeah.
Kathy, I hate to interrupt, but I think I'm gonna have to leave. I hope it's good. If I can, I will try and come back in on your Zoom for the HR, but if not, can you do it without me?
Yeah, we have quorum.
Okay.
Thanks,
If
Kim.
not, I'm gonna mute and I will come and see, okay?
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, to that point, we do have an in-camera meeting, which we'll sign up separately once we close this one. I'm sure you all got the email, and hopefully, Harley, it works out for you to do that. Any other comments about that? Reopening plan, we'll see more of that. You know, you could also keep us in the loop, Kathy, by email.
Yeah, we do have a document here that we've put together. Lynn put this together and we've been going through it quite regularly. So we'll send it out for your information anyways, just so you can maybe peruse it. It's got a lot of detail in there, but it's really worked well for our staff team. So I think you'd find it informative if, like, once we get it all past the draft stage.
Yeah, that'll be good. And I'm sure, Ross, you want to share that because people read your posts.
Can I just inquire, are you okay with publicizing the plan anyway? At this point is to try and open for August 4th.
I think as long as there's support there from the board, we're definitely okay with it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about kind of a communication rollout, because we certainly wanted to be able to write down that, you know, unfortunately we wouldn't have the meeting rooms available, and, you know, the programming might be limited. Like, we're not really used to putting a lot of communication and having so much negative associated with it. But I think in this case, it's something, you know, we wouldn't be really having volunteers. There'd be one entry point, no washrooms, masks must be worn, you know, like those kinds of things. But we have Lori sort of working on the communication piece right now, so that it's as simple as possible but makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important, Ross, that you get that communication piece before you publicize it, because people are gonna, they tend to see the first thing and forget about looking again, so they need to get all the information right off the bat.
So Kathy, you will be able to send
We'll send that out to you right away, Ross. Yeah, as soon as she has it finalized, you'll get the board will be the first people. Yeah, to get it.
Couple of
and in something, and something that's shareable too. We'll make sure.
Given that we don't have a meeting in August, like Mike had indicated, it would be cool to just get an email from you after the first week.
Sure.
How are things going? Nothing official, just I'd really be really like to know how it goes.
That's excellent.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Why don't we? We could do discussion or roundtable, or we could. Yeah, we can't do that in camera anyway. So, may I suggest that we just short circuit this meeting and then sign back in camera?
Yep.
But I will adjourn this and announce that the next meeting will be September 16, and we'll be in the library building. Won't that be excellent? Okay. All right, so I'll see you folks shortly on the in-camera session.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you.